Welcome to 21st Century Polymath, and today we're going to discuss about food, the human body, and drugs. And we hope you're ready to pick up just a few things to kind of, excite your neurons on the issue. Now, with the chart that we've put up there, it shows the human body. And the human body is made up of chemicals. But also the food we eat is made up of chemicals. And the drugs we take are also made up of chemicals. Now, the periodic table is an arrangement of chemical elements, basically. And all of these elements exist in the material world. So every material thing has one of these elements in their makeup. And so the human body, because it's material, also has some of these elements. And food, because it's material, also has some of these elements. And drugs, because they are material, also have these elements in them. And therefore there's a unity that we are all chemicals. What we take are chemicals. What we release are chemicals. Who we are is chemical. And so let's look at the human body. The human body is made up of oxygen, mostly oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, magnesium, and then you have the trace elements, which is less than 1.0. That's boron and chromium and cobalt and copper, fluorine, iodine, iron, manganese, molybdenum, selenium and silicon, tin, vanadium and zinc. So all of these make up the human body. Now, when it comes to food, there are some foods that are very rich in carbon, and there are some foods that are rich in calcium, like milk, and then there are some foods that are rich in potassium, like a banana. And so when you eat these foods, you are adding those chemicals in your body, or you are replacing them in case there has been a depletion of those chemicals in your body. So food is chemical, just as the human body is chemical. Now, when we talk about drugs, we get a very interesting thing. Many people, one of the things I like about the FDA, the Food Drug Authority, is that it has understood that foods are chemicals just as drugs are chemicals. And Wikipedia defines drugs as any substance other than food that provides nutritional support that when inhaled, injected, smoked, consumed, absorbed via a patch on the skin or dissolved under the tongue causes a physiological change in the body. Now, I tend to disagree with Wikipedia, simply because the human body, a drug is a substance, food is a substance, and drugs are taken when they can be inhaled, they can be injected, they are consumed mostly, and food is also consumed. So, and drugs cause a physiological change to the body, but also food causes a physiological change in the body. So it's interesting that they are not seeing the relationship, the unity between food and drugs. Is that food and drugs are just the same, only that drugs have can be can be consumed in very many ways, like inhaling and causing a physiological change. And well, some foods you can't smell and then they won't cause a physiological change. So it tells you the strength of drugs is quite strong. It's quite powerful compared to food. But the fact is, both food and drugs are consumed. So food and drugs, in my view, in the 21st century polymath's view, are chemicals that are all chemicals, and they are both consumed and they both cause physiological change. So there is practically no big difference between food and drugs, because nutritional support, as Wikipedia is trying to say, is like nutrients, and nutrients are minerals, and some of these drugs also have minerals in them, and so they also give nutritional support. And we'll talk about that later on in other videos. But what we just wanted to say in this short video that is introducing food chemistry playlist is that food is made up of chemicals, drugs is made up of chemicals, and um, the human body is made up of chemicals, and therefore we are one. Chemicalia, if I can say it. We are one, but the biochemistry is one, because the drugs are made up of chemicals and we consume them, and food is made up of chemicals and we consume them, and we are made up of chemicals and we take in chemicals to revive our body or to replace lost chemicals, or to cause or to add chemicals to our body to so as to effect some change. So we're going to be having foods, different foods, and every day, every time we have put up a video, and we'll just discuss which food has which chemical that and adds back to the body. Because, like, let's take for example, today we can try and take an apple. An apple is is food, therefore it has what? It has chemicals, and it is a chemical. It's full of chemicals. So what are the chemicals that are found in an apple? Now, these are the chemicals that are found in an apple. Number one, we have potassium, which is at 195 milligrams. Then you have calcium, then you have phosphorus, then you have magnesium, and then you have trace elements, or rather you have the others which are less than 1 milligram. That includes manganese, iron, sodium, copper, and zinc. So when we now look at the periodic table, we see that potassium is a metal, and there it is, K. So it is a metal, and so that tells us that apple is very metallic. And if you have you tried, I'm sure you've tried it before, when you leave an apple outside in the air, it becomes brown because of oxidation, and that's the effect. We'll talk about that later on. That's in other chemistry for another time. But the fact is that you are adding K with 0.4% part of your body by eating an apple. And of course, apples also have vitamins, which are also chemicals that we will look at too. So that was just an example of trying to prove that foods are made up of chemicals, human beings are made up of chemicals, and drugs are made up of chemicals. Therefore, we are chemicals. And that's what we just wanted to share today. And we hope continue going out there and studying as we also study on, remembering that knowledge is power. Go and get it.